One of the best parts about doing this is getting to talk to professional competitors who are really good and finding out what makes them really good and trying to incorporate that into our own grappling. You've seen her on UFC Fight Pass Invitational, you've seen her on Fury Pro Grappling, and now you're seeing her here, unless, of course, you're just listening to this, in which case you're not actually seeing her, but it's not a perfect intro. Please welcome to the show, Amanda Mazza. Hey, Amanda, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
I said in the intro I was recording before you hopped on that the benefit to doing a show like this is just talking to really good grapplers and trying to steal some of what makes them really good. So my big goal today is to find out as many details as possible about that Tariqa Plata you hit a few weeks ago on the Fury card.
Oh yeah, that was good. Honestly, it's funny that I hit that live because I've never even hit that in the training room. But my one teammate, Cindy Ung, she got third at East Coast Trials. She is like the queen of that, and she has hit me with that so many times that I think it was just burned into my brain. And when I got there on that position in that last 10 seconds, I swear I heard her in the crowd say, "Yup, go for it." And she was up in the warm-up room with me as well, but we didn't warm that up or drill that at all. But I heard her voice and immediately, just because like I said, she has hit me with that so many times, it's like singed into my brain, and I hit it and I hit it beautifully. And she was so excited and she was able to see it and everything. So yeah, honestly, she taught it at one of our classes recently, and we drilled it and whatnot. But like I said, I've never hit that in live training. I went for it, lost it. It was like, there's some details that I'm missing. But the fact that I hit that in Fury and with 10 seconds left, oh my God, I was so thrilled. So now I've been throwing it up left and right, and I've been hitting it in live training. And yeah, definitely a new move.
That was the thing, is that it was so last minute. It was like 10 seconds left in the match, and then you threw it up and it locked in, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, she's going to finish this. And it was like, it was such a clean finish, and you see so few of those. I actually
yeah,
thought it would have been the opposite. I would have thought that would have been like your go-to move in training that you threw up with 10 seconds
yeah.
left, but that's kind of crazy you've never hit it before.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm glad that that was the stage I hit it, and I'm glad I was able to get it with that little time left because I was a little nervous when she was coming up. And I figure forward. I know usually like you don't really need to figure forward your feet, but I was like, I am not letting this go. I am not in my head. Even when I was in the back, I was like, I am not going to overtime. I am hunting the sub and I'm going for it. And Emily was a super game opponent and she was tough and she was fighting my hands in every single position. When I had her neck, I went for an armbar, I went for a Doris, and I was just like, this is it. I'm going for it. And I went for it. And my boyfriend Max, he was in my corner and he's like, finish it, finish it, finish it. And I'm like, just pull him. And I'm like, I'm going for it. So thank God I got it. I was really excited about that. So yeah, it was fun.
It was very clean. It was very clean. And that was a
Nice.
good end to a very busy 2024 for you. You competed a lot. Was last year the most you've ever competed in a year?
I would say 2023 and 2024 were like really where I just like have been so consistent. I've been on really, really big stages between Grapple Fest and the UFC Invitational. Yeah, I would say the last 2 years have been like really where I kind of just took off with it.
Was that on purpose? Did you make a decision like, all right, now I'm really going to compete a
Oh
lot, or
yeah,
did things just kind of happen on their own?
absolutely. I mean, in 2022, I was still a police officer, and I resigned towards the end of 2022. And I was like, you know what? This is my chance to really go for what I want. And I resigned from the position. And after that, I was like, I'm going for it. Of course, I got like other jobs and everything after law enforcement. I wasn't just like jobless. But I did that. And I was like, I really want to pursue this because I know I have what it takes to make it far. And after that, I kind of made a promise to myself to just go for it, take any and every opportunity, and I did. And after that, so many doors started opening and it's really great. And now this year, I have a lot of things lined up this year that I'm really excited about. And I plan to do the same thing this year and just keep climbing.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did your training schedule go from like working a full-time job and training to resigning that position and focusing really just on trying to make it in jiu-jitsu? What did the training schedule go from to become?
It went from just training at nights to honestly being way more flexible. Obviously, I started working a lot more other part-time jobs, more so like bartending on the weekends, which is like those late hours, which are like grueling and hard, but honestly, doesn't matter because, I still got to make my money. I started doing like privates here and there. I was bartending. I was working a front desk somewhere here and there. Like everything was super part-time. So I kind of was spreading myself thin, but I always made sure like training was my top priority. Obviously my bills being paid, but I was able to get a lot of daytime training in as well as like maybe some days 6 a.m. and then I could go back again at 6 p.m. or some days I could train at 11 a.m. and that would be like a good training during the day. And then I could go lift at 4 p.m. before I go into the bar at 6 p.m. So like I definitely was a lot more all over the place, but like I got my training in no matter what. Like I was able to train more so like twice a day, whether it was super early morning or midday, later on at night. Like I was able to get like a lot of 2 a days in. And again, I was a little burnout just because I was working multiple jobs, but made it work and I made it work and I found a way to just kind of get a solid routine going with it all. And yeah, it was a lot different. And not even that, but the job itself, being a law enforcement officer, like obviously is way more stressful. I've been bartending and in the service industry since I was 12. So that's kind of like mindless to me. Like I can do that. I could work at any bar, restaurant and be okay without having to stress about it. Um, and all these other little part-time jobs weren't super, super hard mentally and physically. So I was able to save a lot of my energy for the mats.
When you made that decision that you were going to really pursue jiu-jitsu full time, were you training it at the same school and with the same people you're training with now, or did you have to make a switch to maybe up the intensity a bit?
Um, well, I was when I first started jiu-jitsu, I was living in Atlantic City. But as I got kind of deeper into like law enforcement and training and everything, like my area down there wasn't really many girls, and the schools out there weren't really super like competitive schools. And even when I was a cop, like I already knew like I wanted to compete, and I was already competing when I was a cop and everything too. So more like local scene, like Nagas, grappling industries and stuff like that. But I had sold my house and moved into a condo where near where I train now, which is in Washington Township, New Jersey. So that was like a big jump, and I was still a cop at the time. But I sold my house and was like, I need to move closer to like Philly area because I was commuting from Atlantic City to like Washington Township and Philly. Like I was going and training out at Daniel Gracie with Molly Zabrowski and Cindy Ung at Balance in Fishtown. So I was making that commute a lot and I was like, this is a lot. So I sold my house. I downsized to a condo, me and my dog. And I was 5 minutes from where I train now, Web MMA in Washington Township. I still train there. But yeah, that was a big jump, but honestly, it was so worth it. And on top of that, it was like kind of like a smart idea to sell my house because the market was good for sellers. So I was like, you know what? Let's make some money. Let's downsize and let's go for it. So that was like a really big jump. It was a little scary, but that was the best decision I definitely have made to do that. And once I moved and I was able to be at the gym, I could go to the 6 a.m.s if I needed to, because I was 5 minutes away. I could wake up at 5:30 and be there at 6. So it definitely within the last 2 years being out in that area made a big difference.
Now, most of what I've seen you competing has been no gi. I know you have competed in the gi in the past. How often do you train in the gi, or is it all no gi at this point?
Um, Before, I would say like within these last couple months, since I took on teaching kids at my school, I would train gi at least twice a week still. And I love the gi. I started in the gi. Um, I still compete in the gi. I haven't lately within these last couple months, but I do still put the gi on. I do still compete in the gi. I love it. It's fun. I have a whole different style in the gi, I would say, than no gi. But right now, I would say at least like once a week. Once a week. I try to still get twice a week, but it's kind of hard because sometimes the gi classes are going on while I'm teaching the kids. And by the time my training, it's time for me to train right after kids. It's no gi time, so I don't really always get to put the gi on as much as I would like to. But my goal this year is definitely to compete. I want to do worlds, gi worlds. So I gotta definitely put that on a little bit more, which I'm totally fine with because I love the
See,
gi.
I go back and forth. I have like I'll be all about the gi and obsessed with the gi for like 2 weeks, and then I'll have like a
Right.
good no gi day, and I'm like, man, the gi is stupid. I just all in on no gi, and then like 3 weeks later, I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
miss the gi. And, like I go back and forth. I've never been a person who can like love both at the same time. For whatever reason, I have to be
Yeah.
like focused on one. Can you split
Well,
your focus like
they're
that?
so different.
Can
Yeah, because honestly, like I feel like I have different goals in the gi as opposed to no gi. Like as far as like when my during my live training and everything like that. Like my style is very different. Like gi, like I'm very good at bottom, guard, lasso, all that. I'm loop chokes, like those are my I'm very good on bottom with gi, and then no gi, I'm very good at top passing and all that. So it's kind of funny how opposite I am with those and what I do. And it really like I'm trying to tie them together, but I don't. But I'm like, you know what? It's okay because when I go into gi, I'm not worried so much about passing and all that. I'm worried about working my grips from the bottom and my sweeps and all that. Or up top, I wear no gi, I'm on top, and I'm like pass, smash, like like it's cool. Like I like that because it's almost like I'm doing two different things. So that's why I could keep them both and keep them separate at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely think it's good to have like not to force it, like make yourself have a different no-gi game versus your gi game, but people who try to just play their gi game no-gi or just try to play their no-gi game in the gi, I feel like it doesn't work. Like you need to know what you're good at on each side of things
Yeah,
and cater to that strength on whatever side you're doing. But
yeah.
from a professional side, from a competition side and like pro event side, I feel like the gi is like falling off and I don't want to say dying, but like we don't see professional gi events get the same like coverage and people talking about it in the same way. Do you feel the same way or do you think that there's still a place for professional gi competition?
I would say, yeah, I feel like it's kind of really fading out a lot. I would say you see more of it, mostly in IBJJF, and obviously like black belts, they are the only ones that can make money in that. So in the crown, obviously IBJJF, the crown, um, and worlds and all that. So I feel like that's really the only promotion I see doing gi aside from grappling industries and nagas and the local tournaments because obviously it's a lot more kids too doing the gi. Like even the adults now, like there was a grappling industries in Philly just like 2 weeks ago. And for the adult gi divisions, there was like nobody there, which was great because they were able to move through the day because usually kids go first, adults compete at night. But there was really very slim to none um, gi. And I would say there was a lot more white belts than any other belt. And I think like white belts kind of do the gi competition just to kind of like really like get as much competition as they can, as well as like, if they're coming close to promotion, they want to show that they can win in gi and no gi. So I would say, yeah, gi's definitely, I would think it's dying out aside from IBJJF and the crown because that's obviously like the top level. But as far as like super fight gi matches, I don't see that at all. I don't see that at all. And I would definitely take one. Like every time I've applied for Fight to Win or even Fury in the first couple Furies, they did gi matches. I said, I'll do either one. I'll do either. I've always said I'll do whatever is offered to me. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a shame because like I feel like people think the gi can be boring as a spectator because it's not as like explosive and athletic as no gi, but as like I mean I do this, so I'm obviously like a big jujitsu nerd. So watching like a quote unquote boring gi match, it's still fun for me. Like I still enjoy
Yeah.
watching it, but I can definitely see people being like, all right, we're just hold grip fighting and no one and then we're doing a double pull and everyone's mad and we're stuck in a
Yeah.
guard and we can't pass
Yeah.
and whatever. But I mean I'd like to see you do like professional gi matches if they would offer you one. I think that would be
Yeah.
good to show like the other side of your skill set since you do have such a different game.
Yeah, honestly, gi for me, like I am that person that gets that grip and I'll jump on anything. So I would say I'm even more explosive in the gi because once I have my grips, like IBJJF, I had it was blue belt. It was like 2 years ago, I would say. This girl came up, she had single leg, or she had a X guard. She came up with a single leg, had me here, and I was hopping, hopping, hopping. I'll send you the video after this. And I literally just jumped and flying armbarred her while she had my other leg and swung my leg. Honestly, I hate to like sound like this, but I've never seen anybody really do that. And I just kind of was on a whim. I was hungry because I had a kind of crappy cut that day. So I was like, I need to be in and out. And I subbed everybody. I made it all the way to the finals. I lost 5 points in the finals, but I subbed everybody under 2 minutes that day because I was hangry. And that was one of the subs I had. I had to send you that video
Send it
because
to me.
it was really neat. So I would say me and the gi is fun. My coach always laughs at me, is like, don't stand with her, don't let her clamp on that collar tie because it's over. So, and even the big guys too, because they could hold me up and I'm just jumping on them. So yeah, I would love to do a gi match. So absolutely. I always, like I said, when promoters reach out about it, I say always I'll do either or. They always are like, what do you prefer? And I'm like, either or.
Whatever you want.
So
Whatever gets me on
yeah,
the card.
whatever.
Whatever gets me on
Yeah,
the card.
absolutely. Yep.
So you mentioned, wanting to do worlds and everything. Do you have any other goals for 2025? We're only like a month in. Do you have anything laid out of what you want to accomplish this year?
Um, I definitely am plan on doing a lot more like tournaments. Of course, super fights as well, but definitely a lot more tournaments, a lot of ADCC opens. I'm gonna get some IBJJFs in if I can. My goal honestly is to get back on the UFC Invitational, preferably somebody my weight. But again, any and every opportunity I get, I'm gonna say yes, no matter weight, rank, anything. So, yeah. But obviously, preferably, I would love to get back on the invitational at my weight class.
So what would you tell someone who is in your situation right now, but they've never done the invitational, they've not done Fury, they're just starting into like, I want to make a go at being really good at jiu-jitsu and competing in jiu-jitsu. What do you recommend for them to do to get to where you are now? Someone who competes a lot, someone who does pro shows, and it's not unreasonable to get back on the invitational. You know what I mean? Like there's certain people
Right,
who they're not making it to the invitational, like they're not getting that call. What
right.
advice would you give to someone who wants to get that phone call to make it to the UFC Invitational?
I would honestly just say, hey, like brand yourself, discipline, obviously, compete and go out there and not really so much worry about the outcome, but more about the performance and be exciting and have fun, and I think that's what got me on there is um not even just like my wins, because let's be real, I've lost more than I've won. Like, and I'll tell that to anybody. And even when I teach, I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, I've lost more than I've won. But still, like when I win big and I'm exciting. Even when I lose, I'm exciting. Like people remember me as being exciting. Like I have that reputation as being super, super exciting. So I would just give that advice like, hey, be consistent, one, keep competing, let go of the outcome, because you know what, that pressure, like I need to win, I need to win, I need to win to be invited to these type of stages. And like, no, that's not always the case. Like there's plenty of people that have lost that have gotten invites to the UFC Invitational, to Polaris, to all these huge, huge stages. But guess what? It's what you do when you compete that makes you stand out. And, I have that factor because I've done some crazy shit and I've had some crazy finishes and crazy scraps and I put up some crazy fights, even if I lost. Like, and I think that's, what separates people, because there's one thing if double pull, like, and I'm not against guard pullers at all. Like, honestly, like, I want to get better at guard. That's one of my holes, honestly. But, and then people just sitting there and playing legs. Like, yeah, that could be exciting, but still, like, people want to see the wrestling. People want to see jumping for things. People want to see flipping people over. People want to see the grit and the push and, like going for it. Like, just wing it. Like I always say, like I'm a very balls to the wall or nothing at all kind of person. So it's either 0 or 100 with me. There's no in between. So like I think if this person, if I could tell them like, hey, go all out, like go all out, do it, have fun, and worry about performing opposed to winning. And hey, the win will come. If not, guess what? You performed, you gave your best, and you were exciting. And that's really, really, really what these shows are looking for, honestly.
And I think that is good advice just in the like the how you approach jujitsu in general, like go all out, like go all in on it. Like I mean, maybe don't sell your house if you're just like a white belt and then trying to
Right.
be good at jiu-jitsu, but like when you make the decision that this is something I want to do and something I want to pursue and like go all in, train as much as you can, like train with purpose, don't just show up and just kind of go through the motions. I think like you said, the harder you train and the more you put into it, eventually the wins will come. You have to just have the right focus and the right mindset, and you can't just
Absolutely.
expect to end up there one day without putting the work
Right.
in.
Yeah, you gotta live the life. Like you gotta eat clean. You have to I think strength and conditioning is important. Like, all right, I'm not saying like power lift and lift super heavy, but like, do workouts that are for jujitsu. Like, like stuff that's going to get your grip stronger, stuff that's going to get your core stronger, your back, like explosive movements, sprints. Like, jiu-jitsu is a sprint. We go, 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 stop, go, 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 stop. Like, so those little things, like, add them into your routine. Like you could train jiu-jitsu and get extra rounds every single day, but there's all those little other pieces that people like kind of forget. Like, yeah, we got to work out. Yeah, we got to eat clean. Yeah, we got to get good sleep. Like, those things are also important other than training multiple times a day. We got to take care of our body because that's super important. And at first, like, I was so like, oh my God, I need to train 2 to 3 times a day every day. Um, and that was great. I was learning a lot, but still, like, slowing that down a little bit and adding better nutrition, adding strength and conditioning, adding better sleep, and just better habits all around on and off the mat is what I think also pushed me even further. So that was definitely that's some more advice, obviously.
That's, I mean, you got to be willing to do the work, right? Like, and that's, I
Yeah.
think, the number one thing I tell people who are maybe feeling like stuck in their jujitsu, or they're feeling like they're not getting better or whatever, is you have to do some work off the mat. You have to be doing strength and conditioning. You have to be running or doing some version of cardio, because if you're coming on the mat and you're gassed after the second or third round, the
Mhm.
rest of your night, you're not really going to improve your jujitsu. The longer
Right.
you can train and the more rounds you can do that are improving your game, the better you will get faster. Like,
Absolutely.
so take an hour to do some cardio 3 times a week, and like, that isn't making your arm bars better, but it's making you be able to be in the round longer to make your arm bars better. So
Right.
I think people have to just suck it up sometimes and do some cardio, even though everybody hates cardio. But
I
you got to
know. I mean,
just do some
jujitsu's
cardio.
cardio. Jujitsu's cardio. Like, it's
Right.
not a still sport. Like, it's a lot of cardio. But when people are like, how do I always get this with like people that like come into our gym and how do I like get my gas tank better? I'm like, well, keep doing jujitsu and just start doing some sprints, get on the bike, like get on the rower, run,
Right.
just start building that up. Or just push when you're tired. Don't be afraid to get tired in your rounds and keep pushing. That's something my boyfriend, he was a Division 1 wrestler, so he's like been wrestling since he was 3. So he's got like that wrestler mindset. And he always says, because he coaches wrestling at our school, he's always like, don't be afraid to get tired. Don't be afraid to get tired. Go into the fire. And like honestly, because sometimes in our rounds, like obviously we're tired, so we instead of wrestling, we're gonna pull guard and work from there. But like no, like be tired and keep going for it. And that's another piece of advice I give to people. Like don't be afraid to get tired. Like in the room, you should be exhausted and still going for it because that's gonna build your endurance too. So that's
Yeah.
like some good solid advice I've gotten. My rounds, I do that a lot now too. So even when I'm tired, I'm still really, really pushing. Even if I feel like I'm gonna die, but I still
A
push.
quick break from talking to Amanda, because we're talking about very important things like health and recovery and fitness and all that. And it seems like a good time to mention that saunas are an incredible tool for athletes. I love mine. I get mine from Sweat Tent. And given that home saunas usually cost like 5 to 10 grand, and I didn't want to spend that, I'm sure you don't want to spend that on a sauna either. SweatTent.com has a more affordable way that you can have a home sauna at your disposal. I use mine like 3 times a week, and it's like a fraction of the cost of a normal home sauna. Plus, if you use my link below or use the code Justin at checkout, I can get you $100 off a sauna for your house. So check them out. If you're doing all the right things and you're trying to be a healthy person and you're trying to take your health and fitness to the next level, sauna is the way to go. So please check that out. The link is below, sweattent.com. Use the code Justin, $100 off. Now back to Amanda. I've always had the mindset of I'll never turn down a round. Like if, oh, the night's kind of done, the class is done, and someone asks me if I want to do one more, I will always say yes. Like I'll never
Yeah.
leave the mat if rounds are still happening. And I think it's one of the things that like, maybe it's too old school of a mentality, but it really bugs me when like it's either open mat or rounds are happening or whatever. And like we're rolling for like 30 minutes and people are like done and leaving. And like, what are you doing? Like you
Yeah.
paid to be here. You're paying to do jujitsu. Why
Yeah.
would you not do jujitsu the entire time it's available to you and make yourself better? So
Right. No, I agree.
don't don't turn down rounds. If the round is available, take the round, no matter who it is.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a little different for me. Sometimes, the 200-pound guys, I'm a little like,
Yeah, yeah.
those
No
rounds,
matter who.
those are the only rounds I'm kind of like, and I'm not, and I roll with everybody. Like I'll roll with anybody and everybody, but sometimes, obviously the bigger guys, I'm a little. I'm a little cautious with because
Yeah.
I'm 5 foot tall, 115 pounds. I'm little, so
Yeah,
and
take
I could
any
take a
round
beating,
so
but
long as it's someone who's not going to accidentally murder you. Like
yeah,
as long as you're going to
right.
come out alive at the end, say yes to that
Yes,
round.
exactly, exactly.
When you're training, you mentioned rolling with, all the guys and everyone. How many other female training partners do you have that you're getting to roll with consistently?
Well, I'm very lucky. My gym has a lot of females. We have like a solid like 15 to 20 females. None of them compete besides one other girl. Two other girls. I'm sorry. I have Deanna Bennett. She is Bellator fighter, but now she's fighting I forget what league it is, Invicta. So I have her, and she's a black belt. She's a little bigger than me, but she is tough as nails, and she's been in this sport for a long time. So I learn a lot from her. And then I have this blue belt, Brenna. She's been training for about 2 years, and she was a high school wrestler, so she's tough as nails too, and she wants to be an MMA girl. And then some of my other girls, they're brown and black belts at my school, but they're not super competitive. They don't really compete, so it's cool to like just kind of pick their brain because they obviously have the technique and the knowledge. So it's different feels that I'm used to. But then I have my girls like Molly, Cindy Young, Amanda Levy, Danielle Kelly, Kelly, Zach, and Kelly, Zach. I have a bunch of like girls that we all kind of hop around to each other's schools to train, which is cool because Philly from where we train is only 30 minutes. So we're all like within a 30-minute radius and we all hop around each other's schools to train, which is really great. Um, so I would say like at least 5 out of 7 days a week, I have solid girl training partners. So whether I got to drive to Balance to go to Cindy and Kelly school or drive to the Vault, and that's 10 minutes from where I'm living right now to go train with this girl Lena, a really good brown belt. Like I am very fortunate that I have such talented girls around me, especially the competitors. Like I said, I have Amanda Levy, I have Danielle Kelly, I have Cindy Ung, like I have Molly, like I have such good girls that I can have access to them any and every day. So I'm really fortunate, and I think that's also what kind of helped me jump this past year as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to have like you said, having people that are really really good around you. Obviously, it's going to make you better as well. Have you noticed now that you've been competing a lot and you've had success and you've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time, have you noticed like a shift in you're not just bringing in like for yourself new information and you're learning from people with more experience and who've also been successful? Do you feel like now as someone who's like coaching the kids and everything, it's sort of going the other way too, where now people are looking to you in the same way you look to the people that are helping your game?
Yeah, absolutely, which that's like super rewarding to me because like I always say like even to my kids that I teach, I'm like, hey, listen, like I don't know everything and I'm never gonna know everything. Like I will forever be a student to this game and I always want to learn. Like I like being coached. I always want to learn. I pick people's brains, like even like lower belts. If they do something, I'm like, hey, like how'd you do that? Like I am very humble when it comes to that because again, like there's so much to learn in this sport. It's a never ending hamster wheel, literally. So when I teach kids, like it's really cool because I have a lot of younger girls that like literally look up to me and it's like so great and it really like fuels my fire because it's like they just think I'm so great and they don't obviously see the blood, sweat and tears and the sacrifices I've made. So the fact that they admire me just off the good I've done, it's like, it just pushes me even further. So I am so patient with kids. I love kids. I love teaching them. And as far as these girls that are younger than me and they're up and coming and they want to compete, and even some of the parents are like thinking about homeschooling some of their kids so they can pursue that. And I'm like, you know what? Now's the time. The sport's growing. There's money to be made. There's sponsorships. Like, yeah, like keep them in school because that's important. But if you're comfortable homeschooling and you can afford it, like then yeah, and you could travel and let your kids compete, do it. Like, look at Helena, like phenomenal. Look at her, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of Helenas out there as well, younger girls that are going out homeschooled and traveling and going and winning. Like my first competition ever, I was 22. I got put to sleep by a 12-year-old. Like, yeah.
That'll humble you real
That's
quick.
what I'm
That'll
saying.
show you
So
how much jujitsu
oh,
works.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I was a white belt, she was a yellow belt. It was a JT Torres student. I was like, "Oh, I don't want to go against a child. Like this is weird. Like I feel bad." 22 years old. 12 years old, like same size, because again, I'm small. Like I've been this size since I was 22. Like I am little. So I've went against younger girls my first half. Like some blue belt, like white blue. So I was like a woman going against these teenagers. I'm like, this sucks. Like it doesn't suck, but like, damn, these kids are good. And I'm like, now that it's way different now, and I'm at a higher level. But still, these kids are freaking good. So for me to be able to like help anybody, like even even other women coming into this and me teaching, like I think what has made me stand out, especially to a lot of these women that I've like, because I used to teach women's beginner at the school I teach kids at as well. So I don't teach there anymore just because I moved and I live a little bit further. But they really kind of like to listen to me and learn from me because I'm so small. So it's like they call it like little man jiu-jitsu, they call it, because like at that school there was a lot of like bigger older men. It was basically like kids, and then like the moms would train. So the moms just like really liked it because like I'm obviously small, my jiu-jitsu super technical, and they like to learn from me because I'm not teaching like super basic. Like there's like the fine details of being a smaller person, like where to frame, where to angle, like all those type of things. So like the fact that like older women like admire me and like I can inspire them, like that's really cool too, because like jiu-jitsu has given me so much confidence. Like I tell everybody, like, hey, this sport's for everybody. This sport, I don't care if you've never played a sport in your entire life. Like I was an athlete growing up, so like this is my first ever solo sport. Like I've always played team sports. So I always tell people, like, this is for everybody. Like you don't gotta be what I am. Like you don't gotta go out there and compete. Like, but for you to like step out of your comfort zone and be comfortable being uncomfortable, I'm telling you, it'll take you further than you think off the mats as well. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that I could spread that message and, really push people to like believe in themselves and not give up on themselves on and off the mats. So
You've even said you're very small, so I don't feel like I'm slighting you by saying you're very small. But
no, no, no.
being someone who's very small and then having good jujitsu just kind of proves the concept that jujitsu works and is good for small people to be able to win fights against big people. So you're kind of like the proof of concept for people who maybe are like, oh, I don't know if this is for me and I'm small. Like, yeah, you can be small and be really good at jujitsu and win matches against people who are not really small and good at jujitsu.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. When people are like, "Oh, I'm too small," I'm like, size is not like, yeah, it matters, but still, like, sometimes like if I'm me, I'm a three straight purple belt. Like if I'm gonna go against a brand new white belt, like I'm probably gonna win. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I got the technique, I have the knowledge. Like yeah, it's a little different. So yeah, I definitely like to push that into their heads. Like so when because people will come to me and be like, I can't do this. Like I'm too small. I can't do this. I'm like, don't give me that,
Yeah.
because 9 out of 10 chances I'm smaller than this person, and
Right,
I'm like,
right.
don't give me that.
Right.
Don't give me that shit.
You're trying this
That's
excuse with the wrong person. Like this, I'm
yeah,
not the person
like
for that excuse.
no, not at all.
So, do you
So
have
yeah.
anything booked that we can look forward to seeing you compete at now, or are we looking at more like tournaments and IBJJF?
Um, Next weekend, actually, I'm gonna be doing the submission underground in Brooklyn. I forget my opponent's name, but she's a brown belt, really good leg locker, I've heard. I'm not sure exactly where she's from and what school. But my friend Cindy, she's competing in the 135 cash bracket. So I wanted to go, and then I was like, you know what, why not? I'll get a match too. So I have a super fight, obviously at 115. And she's competing in the 135. So we're taking a trip out to Brooklyn because I've actually never been to Brooklyn and I want to see the Brooklyn Bridge. So next weekend, February 1st, I'll be on submission grappling. And then
So
after that,
that's this weekend. For anyone who's watching this or listening to this, that's
okay,
this weekend. We're recording this
February
the week
1st.
before, so February
Yes.
1st in a few days. So if you're
Yes. Yep.
listening to this or watching this the day it came out in a few days.
Yep. Yes. That sounds right. Yeah. But yeah, after that, I'm not sure. Uh, I'll probably be doing like the Finishers Open, which is the 19th, and then Finishers is actually having a quintet for females. We're working on getting a team, but again, it's like a 145 um, weight limit, and I'm obviously far from that. But I said, hey, if you need an extra body, I'm in. So I might be going against some 145ers, but
It
it's
is
a
what it
team
is.
thing. So it is what it
It
is.
is
It's
what it
more
is.
fun than anything. But yeah, hopefully something big in March that I can't really announce yet, but possibly something bigger in March. It's looking good so far, end of March that is. But yeah,
Cool.
other than that, I just plan on staying active and being relevant and letting people see my face all over.
Well, that's why I'm glad you came on, so more people can see your face. Because I like your jiu-jitsu. I like watching you
Thank
compete, and I
you.
know I'm just trying to do that thing where like by the end of the year, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my God, Amanda's so good," and I'm like, "Yeah, go back to my show because I already had her on." Because like
Yeah.
I'm doing that like the hipster thing, where like I had her before she was like world champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what this is. So I appreciate you coming on and
Love
hanging
that.
out.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
If people aren't following you or want to see more from you, where should people go and all the pertinent links?
Instagram. Honestly, I'm good with social media, but I'm bad with social media. I don't have Facebook. I don't even know how to use Facebook. I don't have Twitter. Don't know how to use Twitter. I don't have TikTok. I am just an Instagram girl. Don't even have Snapchat. I am Instagram girly, and I post very consistently on there. But yeah, it's just Amanda Mazza _ That's it.
Okay.
So give me a follow.
I'll link that below. I'll try to link to some of the matches that we talked about too below, so
Okay.
people can just like have one spot they can just click a button. But yeah, follow Amanda because it's good stuff and
Thank
it's fun
you.
to watch you compete. So thank you again so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to Amanda for coming on and talking with me. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. I put all of the links you need down below, so check all of those out. Thanks so much for listening and watching, and I will see you in the next one.